We live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Donald Trump to speak with China, Xi Jinping for TikTok deal. Beijing yet to publicly confirm or comment on the call. For the sixth time, US vetoes UNSC resolution for ceasefire and aid in Gaza, claims it was biased against Israel and in favor of Hamas. Canada-Mexico signed deal to deepen economic ties as Mark Carney holds talks with Mexican president. Leaders committed to shared partnership with US ahead of the review meet next year. And in sports, India opens account at Senior World Wrestling Championship. Antim clinches bronze medal in freestyle 53 kg category. And on to the details now. US President Donald Trump will hold talks with Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping on Friday about a deal to change ownership of the video sharing app TikTok. Well, during a joint news conference at Chequers during a second state visit, Trump said he would speak to China's President Xi Jinping to see if they can finalize something on TikTok. Well, Trump revealed how TikTok helped him get elected and assures that the app will be owned by all American investors.
What we're doing, and we're speaking to President Xi on Friday to see if we can finalize something on TikTok, because there is tremendous value, and I hate to give away value, but I like TikTok. It helped get me elected. In fact, Charlie said, "Sir, you ought to get on TikTok. You'd be great." I said, "Really? Tell me about TikTok." And we, as you know, we did unbelievably well with youth.
Also, top officials from both sides struck a framework agreement this week, which reports suggest could see TikTok would be owned by all American investors and very rich people and companies. Meanwhile, China on Wednesday called the framework deal reached in Madrid to switch TikTok to US-controlled ownership a win-win, and said it would review TikTok's technology exports and intellectual property licensing. And DD India, Shubhendu Ghosh joins us live on the story. Well, Shubhendu, can you explain the recent news surrounding the TikTok deal and why it is attracting so much attention? What is the significance?
Lipakshi, the attention bit first. Well, with around 1.5 billion active subscribers around the world, most of them located in the United States, some 170 million. Most of the subscribers' revenue that TikTok gets, a Chinese company, a Chinese social media app, it comes from the United States. And therefore, it is a significant issue between the two countries. But interestingly, controversy has followed TikTok along with popularity. It is banned in a number of countries, including India, with serious concerns of data security, of national security, data storage of the users. So in that sense, it becomes very important the manner in which US and China are able to come to an agreement in the manner in which TikTok will be present in the US in the days ahead. As we understand, there's going to be possibly a licensing model. There'll be a US version of the TikTok once the talks conclude between the two leaders, President Trump and President Xi Jinping of China. That will determine the manner in which TikTok could exist in the US. But US also had concerns of data security. But now we see President Trump seeing more potential in the use of social media, possibly playing a role in his own electoral victory. So in that sense, the manner in which TikTok is going to exist in the United States from here on, a consortium of top US companies, possibly Oracle, the American tech giant, is going to be leading that consortium. But the final outcome will rely on what President Xi and President Trump decide in their very important talks.
All right. So, Shubhendu, also there's a lot of chatter about a secret sauce that the US may not have access to, because you're saying that US might dictate terms. So what exactly is this secret sauce?
what is referred to as the secret sauce. At the heart of any social media company is the algorithm, is the program that determines the manner in which TikTok works. So this algorithm determines the kind of video. If you're a user, the TikTok algorithm determines what kind of content you're able to see. It tracks your preferences. It tracks other data that you have, and it gives you content accordingly to get maximum viewership. Now, this algorithm has been at the heart of the controversy, given that a foreign company, a Chinese company, in a way determines the kind of content that American citizens watch, and similar concerns prevail world over. Now, what America has been saying, what the presidency has been saying, is that America should have more control over this algorithm. The question was, is ByteDance, the parent company, is China going to allow the most fundamentally important product, which is the algorithm, to be handed over to United States? Simply, what we understand is that a simple handover may not happen because it is at the heart of what TikTok is, but a certain licensing version of the contract might take shape, which basically means that America perhaps would have more control over the kind of content that American public are exposed to. However, it will not have the control over to sort of manufacture or manipulate with the core algorithm. So in that sense, the very heart of the product might remain in control of ByteDance, a Chinese company, and that will also determine the kind of profits they're likely to make in the coming days. About $200 billion is a speculative turnover for ByteDance and for TikTok, and that is likely to sustain if this deal works out between China and the United States.
All right, Shubhendu, thank you so much for explaining that to us. And moving on now, US President Donald Trump is back to the White House after wrapping up his second state visit to the UK on Thursday. Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer hailed the renewal of their nation's special relationship. The visit came to a close with a show of unity after avoiding possible pitfalls. Trump also paid homage to the close ties enjoyed by the two countries, saying Starmer was a tough negotiator in securing the first tariff deal with the US, although Britain has still not got the lower US tariffs on steel that it was seeking. While returning, Trump said that he disagreed with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on immigration and energy.
You know, the thing I most disagree, I guess I disagree with him on two things. Immigration, which is very rough for the UK, very rough, and energy. As I said, you know, the North Sea, if I had that, I'd make a fortune with it. Look at Norway's accounts. Look at the cash Norway has. And they have the same thing we're talking about. I don't even know if they have as much, but that's a tremendous asset. So those two things.
And the United States vetoed a draft United Nations Security Council resolution that would have demanded an immediate, unconditional and permanent ceasefire in Gaza, and that Israel lift all restrictions on aid deliveries to the Palestinian enclave. Also, the text, drafted by the elected 10 members of the 15-member council, would have also demanded the immediate, dignified and unconditional release of all hostages held by Hamas and other groups. It received 14 votes in favor. It was the sixth time the US had cast a vote in the Security Council over the nearly two-year war between Israel and Palestinian militants Hamas. Also, the Gaza city and surrounding areas are officially suffering from famine, and it was likely spared a global hunger monitor determined last month. On October 7, 2023, Hamas attack on Israel triggered the conflict in Gaza. According to the local health authorities, more than 64,000 people, also mostly civilians, have since been killed during the conflict in Gaza. And the United Nations Security Council will vote on Friday on reimposing deep economic sanctions on Iran over its resurgent nuclear program. Britain, France and Germany, signatories to the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action intended to stop Tehran to obtain nuclear weapons, alleged that Iran has broken its promises under 2015 treaty. In fact, in a letter to the UN in mid-August, the European three slammed Iran as having breached several Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action commitments, including building up a uranium stock to more than 40 times the level permitted under the deal. Also, despite a flurry of diplomatic talks between the European powers and Tehran, the Western trio insisted there was no concrete progress. The vote could result in the reimposition of sanctions as early as next week. The hard-won 2015 deal has been left in tatters ever since the United States, during Donald Trump's first presidency, walked away from it in 2018 and reimposed sanctions on Iran. And United Nations Special Envoy for Syria, Geir Pedersen, announced on Thursday that he would step down in the near future after more than 6 years in the role. He told the UN Security Council that Secretary General Antonio Guterres had accepted his resignation. He said Syria looks forward to engaging with the Secretary General and all of you in working with his successor in a way that preserves Syrian sovereignty. Pedersen also addressed ongoing external interference, condemning recent Israeli military actions in Syria. Pedersen was one of several UN envoys that led political missions aimed at negotiating a peaceful solution between the Assad regime and its opponents. And Canada and Mexico signed a deal to deepen economic ties as Mark Carney holds talks with Mexican president in his 2-day visit in Morocco City. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum reaffirmed their commitment to the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, defending it as key to North America's economic success. Well, they acknowledged tariff pressures from U.S. President Donald Trump and agreed to work on making the deal fairer for all the sides.
And we are both committed to our shared partnership with the United States. And we look forward to using the upcoming review of TMEC, USMCA, CUSMA, different acronyms for the same thing, to find ways to make it fairer and more effective. Bilaterally, Canada and Mexico complement each other's strengths, and we stand united in times of challenge and crisis.
While Mexican President Sheinbaum expressed optimism about the future of the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA, stating she believes the agreement will endure despite Trump's push to renegotiate it in favor of U.S. manufacturers. The deal, effective since 2020, will be reviewed next year and is crucial for the economies of both Mexico and Canada as they rely heavily on U.S. exports. And Venezuela has launched 3 days of large-scale military drills in the Caribbean as tensions escalate with the United States over rising military activity in the region. More than 2,500 troops are participating in the 3-day drill, dubbed Sovereign Caribbean 200 on La Orchila, an island off Venezuela's coast. The exercises featured nighttime displays of military firepower, with Venezuelan forces firing anti-aircraft missiles and heavy artillery. Video footage released by the Venezuelan Communication Ministry showed Sukhoi 30 fighter jets and helicopters conducting flyovers, while amphibious tanks made beach landings as soldiers secured positions along the shoreline. The military display comes amid escalating regional tensions following U.S. forces blowing up at least 3 Venezuelan boats this month, killing a combined 14 people allegedly transporting drugs across the Caribbean. And meanwhile, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on Thursday said the country's national armed forces will be sent to the people to train them in response to U.S. tension. In response to the escalating U.S. presence in the southern Caribbean, Maduro said Venezuela's national armed forces will visit over 5,000 communities across the country from Saturday to give them training to operate and use firearms. His comments came after the United States deployment in the Caribbean, seen by Venezuela as a threat to the nation. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Thai King approves the Prime Minister Anuthan's cabinet lineup, enabling it to take oath. 20,000 protesters flood the streets of Rennes, but why? We'll give you the answer. And we'll tell you how AI is being used in cancer treatment.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Kuran. Moving on, Thailand's King Maha Vajiralongkorn has endorsed Prime Minister Antim Charnvirakul's new cabinet. The endorsement formally enables the cabinet to take an oath before the king ahead of a policy statement to Parliament, the final step before ministers can assume their duties. Well, Prime Minister Antim has previously unveiled key cabinet positions, including senior bureaucrat Ekniti Nithitan Prapas as finance minister. A North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, oversaw the testing of unmanned drones on Thursday in order their capabilities be strengthened through artificial intelligence. Earlier, Kim supervised the test of suicide drones with AI technology in March. The state TVKRT reported that Kim was satisfied with the test results of North Korea's Kamsong, a tactical unmanned attack aircraft, and an unmanned strategic reconnaissance aircraft. Kim also approved a plan to further strengthen unmanned aerial vehicle capabilities. Around 20,000 protesters flooded the streets of Rennes, France to oppose the government's proposed 2026 budget, which includes strict austerity measures. Well, the demonstration led by unions turned tense when Black Bloc activists clashed with the police, prompting tear gas use. Similar scenes unfolded across the country with roadblocks and fires erupting in Paris and other cities. The unrest reflects growing frustration with President Emmanuel Macron's policies and signals deepening public anger over economic reforms. And staying with updates from France, in a sudden move, it has suspended counter-terrorism cooperation with Mali and ordered 2 of its diplomats to leave after the arrest of a French envoy in Bamako. The 2 Malian diplomats have until Saturday to leave France, while Mali has declared persona non grata to 5 staff members of the French embassy in Bamako who had already left the country on Sunday. And Spain supported the EU Commission's proposal to freeze trade agreements on Israel. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said that his country's interest in Israel's actions in Gaza stemmed from geopolitical and human rights concerns. Also, during a press conference after meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz in Madrid, Sanchez added that Spain had faced what he called terrorist attacks in the past and criticized the strategies such employed by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to combat these threats. The meeting between Sanchez and Merz additionally focused on topics including solar energy initiatives and the European Future Combat Air System fighter jet project. Well, the U.S. Senate on Thursday voted unanimously to establish a National Day of Remembrance for Charlie Kirk following the assassination of the conservative commentator. The proposed day, set for 14th October, Kirk's birthday, aims to honor his life and political legacy. The memorial resolution comes 1 week after Charlie Kirk was killed during a speaking engagement at Utah Valley University. Well, the designated Remembrance Day will provide an annual opportunity to recognize Charlie Kirk's contributions to conservative politics and youth activism. The Charlie Kirk Day resolution now heads to the House of Representatives. For the Day of Remembrance to become official, the House must approve a similar resolution before sending it to President Trump for final approval. Well, U.S. President Donald Trump celebrated the suspension of talk show host Jimmy Kimmel from the airwaves. Kimmel's suspension came after owners of local TV stations had said they would stop broadcasting his celebrity-filled late-night show, and the nation's top communication regulator threatened to investigate Kimmel's commentary about Charlie Kirk. Kimmel said during his 9-minute opening monologue on Monday that allies of Kirk were using his assassination last week to score political points. Well, Trump is speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, complained that he had read somewhere that television networks were 97% against him and only gave him bad publicity.
A lot of people, anybody could replace him. The guy had no talent. Kimmel had, look, he was fired. He had no talent. He's a whack job, but he had no talent. And more importantly than talent, he had no, because a lot of people have no talent, they get ratings. But he had no ratings. His ratings were worse than Colbert, I think. They got rid of Colbert, which was a good thing to do.
Well, a U.S. federal judge blocked the Trump administration from deporting Guatemalan unaccompanied minors with active immigration cases. It came after reports revealed that many parents had not consented to their children's return. The ruling followed a U.S. attempt in late August to deport 76 Guatemalan minors, which triggered legal challenges and exposed that most parents were either unreachable or opposed the deportations. Many of the children originate from impoverished indigenous regions where families often mortgage their homes to finance their children's migration to the United States. Well, a panel of U.S. vaccine advisors voted on Thursday to withdraw federal recommendations for using the combined MMRV vaccine in children under the year 4. The panel was appointed by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Panel cited seizure risks linked to the combination dose as the reason. Panel members said the stand-alone approach would lower the risk of fever-related seizures in young children. The new guidance updates CDC recommendations, which had previously allowed either the combined or separate vaccines for this age group. Well, moving on, thousands of Bolivian salaried miners marched through La Paz on Thursday, setting off dynamite explosions and demanding government action against illegal mining and the occupation of legally established concessions. The Federation of Mining Workers held a protest after violent incidents at sites like Antacaba, Reservoir Tres Amigos and Colquiri. Union leader Amanda Taka urged action against illegal occupations and mineral theft. The FSTMB, a labor union in Bolivia, declared a state of emergency, warning of more protests if authorities don't respond. Also, illegal mining and concession takeovers have caused deadly clashes and legal uncertainty in Bolivia. And the Argentine government accused Congress of responding with demagoguery on Thursday following legislative setbacks to President Javier Milei's economic agenda. Well, presidential spokesperson Manuel Adorni criticized the lawmakers for responding with demagoguery instead of responsibility during Wednesday's session. Despite market volatility, Adorni defended the government's economic strategy, saying the program is consistent and the fundamentals remain strong.
Regarding yesterday's parliamentary session, I would like to remind you that the President of the nation called for responsibility and Congress responded with demagoguery. The economic program, which includes fiscal policy, monetary policy and exchange rate policy, is consistent and the fundamentals are sound.
Well, the comments came as Argentine markets fell sharply on Thursday amid rising political tensions and economic concerns. This came as the government downplayed the move and faced growing opposition to President Javier Milei's agenda ahead of key elections. And journalist and human rights activists marched in Guatemalan City to demand the release of Jose Ruben Zamora, a prominent journalist detained since 2022 on money laundering charges. Zamora, one of Latin America's most decorated journalists, was briefly granted house arrest in 2024 but was sent back to prison shortly afterwards. His case remains stalled as he awaits a new trial. Zamora founded El Periódico, one of Guatemalan's leading investigative newspapers, in 1996. He was arrested in July 2022 amid a broader crackdown on prosecutors, judges, human rights activists, journalists and opposition figures led by the Special Prosecutor's Office Against Impunity. His trial included 11 hearings during which his defense evidence was excluded, and he has had 8 different defense attorneys. Well, a special Colombian court created under a 2016 peace deal on Thursday sentenced 12 of former soldiers to 8 years of reparations work for their role in the extrajudicial executions of 135 people. The special jurisdiction for peace gave its first sentence to former military members for war crimes and crimes against humanity, trying leaders from both FARC rebels and the military. Earlier this week, the same court sentenced 7 former leaders of the FARC guerrillas to a maximum of 8 years of reparations for the group's policy of kidnapping for ransom. Now, at least 6,402 people were killed in the so-called false positive murders nationwide between 2002 and 2008, according to the JEP, though victim groups say the figure is higher. And a powerful 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck off the coast of Russia's far eastern Kamchatka Peninsula early on Friday, rocking buildings and prompting authorities to issue a tsunami alert. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the quake struck 128 kilometers east of the Kamchatka's capital at a shallow depth of 10 kilometers. A series of aftershocks further rattled the region. The U.S. Pacific Tsunami Warning Center issued an alert for possible hazardous waves along nearby coastlines, but later lifted. No damage has been reported from the region so far. The Kamchatka Peninsula lies on a tectonic belt known as the Ring of Fire, which surrounds most of the Pacific Ocean and is a hot spot for seismic activity. In July, an 8.8 magnitude mega quake off the region's coast triggered a tsunami that swept part of a coastal village into the sea and sparked warnings around the Pacific. Meanwhile, a shallow earthquake of magnitude 6.1 struck Indonesia's central Papua province early on Friday. The U.S. Geological Survey said the earthquake's epicenter was located 28 kilometers south of the town of Nabar in the central Papua province, which is on the Indonesian half of the large Pacific island shared with Papua New Guinea. While the USGS reported the quake at a 6.1 magnitude, Indonesia's Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysical Agency gave it a magnitude of 6.5, updating from earlier reading of 6.6. Now, the quake had damaged several public facilities, but there were no reports of casualties so far. The jolt awoke local residents who immediately rushed outside. Indonesia, a vast archipelagic nation, experiences frequent earthquakes due to its position on the Pacific Ring of Fire. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. An exceptional painting by Pablo Picasso from 1943 depicting his lover Dora Maar and kept by the family of its first owner since 1944 was unveiled on Thursday in Paris. Entitled Bust of a Woman with a Flowery Hat, it depicts Dora Maar, a French photographer, painter and poet who was Picasso's best-known muse. The painting will go under the hammer on 24th of October. Artificial intelligence-supported software is being used in multidisciplinary tumor boards at Van Training and Research Hospital in Turkey. The AI-assisted software acted as an additional participant in tumor board meetings with specialists. AI is increasingly being used in tumor boards to improve operations by automating case preparation, analysis and presentation. And still to come, a DD India News Hour. Logo and key flagship initiatives for the India AI Impact Summit 2026 unveiled. What's more in store? Stay tuned to know. India-US defense ties see high-level interactions as Indian envoy Quatra meet US's Galway at Pentagon. An artist creates unique paper pulp idol of goddess Durga in Assam.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. अरे it fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Donald Trump to speak with China, Xi Jinping for TikTok deal. Beijing yet to publicly confirm or comment on the call. For the sixth time, US vetoes UNSC resolution for ceasefire and aid in Gaza, claims it was biased against Israel in favor of Hamas. Canada-Mexico signed deal to deepen economic ties as Mark Carney holds talks with Mexican president. Leaders committed to shared partnership with US ahead of the review meet next year. And in sports, India opens account at Senior World Wrestling Championship. Antim clinches bronze medal in freestyle 53 kg category. And moving on, India's Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology unveiled the logo and key flagship initiatives for the India AI Impact Summit 2026. While being hosted for the first time by a global South nation, the summit is guided by the principles or sutras of people, planet and progress. The official logo's identity is the Ashok Chakra, an emblem of ethical governance, justice and constitutional values that guide India's digital and technological journey. From this core, neural network flares radiate outward, symbolizing AI's transformative impact across languages, industries and geographies, bridging divides and enabling inclusive progress. The summit will focus on the safety and impact of artificial intelligence and follows the previous edition co-chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Paris. It will feature a series of flagship initiatives, including innovative AI startups and high-potential ventures, global innovation challenges for youth, women and other participants, research symposium and AI expo. And India's ambassador to the United States, Vinay Mohan Quatra, met U.S. Under-Secretary of War Elbridge Colby at the Pentagon. The two leaders reviewed the current agenda and charted actionable path on several initiatives in the pipeline of India-U.S. defense cooperation. Quatra noted that he values Colby's deep knowledge, perspective and consistent support for India-U.S. strategic partnership. While the Secretary of War said he looks forward to continuing to elevate the critical defense cooperation with India. And India got re-elected in the Asia-Pacific Group of Postal Operation Council and Council of Administration of the Universal Postal Union for the year 2025-28 in the elections held at the 28th UPU Congress in Dubai. India has thanked members for their support and confidence in India. In a social media post, the Ministry of External Affairs said that India remains committed to providing innovative postal solutions for its people and sharing them with the Global South. Also, this milestone reflects India's growing global leadership under the vision of Prime Minister Modi. At the heart of this is the steadfast guidance of External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, whose relentless efforts and expertise were instrumental in securing this achievement. Well, Minister for Communications Jyotiraditya Scindia said together, we continue to drive innovation, advance financial inclusion and champion sustainability in the postal sector. With the world's largest postal network serving 1.45 billion people, Bharat stands uniquely positioned to contribute to the UPU's mission of a modern, inclusive and resilient global postal system. And the High Commissioner of India and Bangladesh on Thursday inaugurated a painting exhibition titled Immersion in the World Path by noted Bangladeshi visual artist Sunil Kumar. Well, the program held at the Indian Cultural Centre was attended by eminent personalities from Bangladesh's art and cultural fraternity, including celebrated artist Mr. Monirul Islam, who joined the occasion as the guest of honour. Underscoring the shared cultural heritage of the two countries, High Commissioner Pranay Verma said the modern art movements in Bangladesh and India have influenced each other deeply. Artists of both countries have drawn inspiration from each other's works and in the process brought the two societies closer. The second half of the evening featured a spellbinding performance of Gaudiya Nritya titled The Colours of Shakti by renowned Bangladeshi dancer Rachel Priyanka Paris and her troupe. Her performance enthralled the audience with its grace, rhythm and expressive depth, marking the beginning of Durga Puja festivities. Well, women are scripting a new chapter in the books of history. From grassroots governance to defence forces and aviation, women are now leading across all the sectors with the help of key government initiatives under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Here's the report.
आज भारत में नारी शक्ति का लोहा हर कोई मानने लगा। बढ़ती इकोनॉमी की लाभार्थी हमारी नारी है, लेकिन बढ़ती इकोनॉमी को गति देने में भी हमारी नारी का बहुत बड़ा योगदान है। स्टार्टअप से लेकर स्पेस सेक्टर तक हमारी बेटियां छाई हुई हैं।
From women's development to women-led development, India's path to progress has not only been faster but remarkable, marking a global imprint. From India's Aditya L1 mission, headed by a woman, to Chandrayaan-3 mission, and most recently held Operation Sindoor, where women officers led from the front, to women's employment rate witnessing a double growth, Indian women are progressing in all sectors of the country. Women are playing a crucial role in shaping India's socio-economic landscape, breaking barriers in education, health, digital inclusion and leadership roles.
He's seen as a tough, serious, big leader, but he's got that human element in him.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने महिलाओं के लिए पहला कदम ये उठाया लाल किले से, जब ये कहा कि मेरा एक सपना है कि मैं हर घर में शौचालय चाहता हूँ, तो उस दिन वो पीड़ा मैंने महसूस की कि पहला ऐसा व्यक्ति है कि जिसने महिलाओं का दर्द समझा।
बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, वो तब से मुझे बता रहे थे कि इफ़ यू विल एजुकेट अ वन चाइल्ड, अ गर्ल चाइल्ड, तो वो 10 को एजुकेट करे। और एजुकेशन इट्स नॉट जस्ट अ डिग्री, फॉर हिम on the whole grooming of mental and physical. So मैं उन्हें always friend, philosopher और guide बुलाती हूँ.
The government, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is ensuring that women should not be left behind. Some of the key initiatives stand as a testimony. बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ, पोषण भी पढ़ाई भी, उज्ज्वला योजना, जल जीवन मिशन, लखपति दीदी, Mission Shakti and movements like the Nari Shakti Vandana Adhiniyam focus has now with this shifted from women's development to women-led development. Women's participation has surged in education, especially in STEM, skilling, entrepreneurship through self-help groups and public service. Legal reforms and labour codes also promote safe and inclusive workspaces, while schemes like PM Awas Yojana, Day NRLM and agricultural support initiatives have empowered women financially and socially. From grassroots governance to defence forces and aviation, women are now leading across the sectors, driving inclusive and sustainable national growth. With women and children comprising nearly 67.7% of India's population, their empowerment is not just a social reform, it is a strategic imperative. As India enters Amrit Kal, Nari Shakti stands as the unstoppable force driving a stronger and more inclusive nation forward. Deepika Mehta's report for DD India.
And moving on, doctors at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, have successfully performed a life-saving keyhole lung surgery on a 50-day-old baby weighing just 2.5 kilograms. The infant, referred from Bihar, was suffering from a rare and serious condition known as congenital pulmonary airway malformation, an abnormal development of a part of the lung that prevents normal breathing. In this case, the malformation was unusually large and located on the right side of the chest. It compressed the left lung, leaving the baby gasping for breath. This case is believed to be the youngest and smallest child in the country to undergo such a complex keyhole lung surgery, remarkably in a critical condition where the baby was already on ventilator support before the operation. By choosing a minimally invasive approach rather than traditionally open surgery, the doctors ensured less pain, minimal trauma and a faster recovery, critical factors in newborns with fragile health. The child recovered steadily and now breathes comfortably. And now some weather updates from the worst hit states of India now. First up from Uttarakhand, where rescue and relief operations are underway after a devastating cloudburst hit Chamoli's Nanda Nagar on 18th of September. In a heroic joint operation, NDRF, IDBP and civil administration rescued a 42-year-old man alive after 15 hours trapped under debris in Kuntari village. 2 bodies have been recovered while the search continues for 6 missing persons across Kuntari and Dharma. Over 45 homes along with the shops and 15 cow sheds are damaged and power and roads remain snapped. Rescue teams are battling rain and tough terrain using JCBs and helicopters. The administration is monitoring the situation closely as operations intensify. While in Himachal Pradesh last night, a cloudburst hit a village in Nichar area of Kinnaur district. Heavy rain washed away vehicles and damaged a few houses. People ran into nearby forest to save themselves. On a positive note, no one was hurt. Local officials are keeping an eye on the situation. And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Central Indian city of Gwalior celebrated the passing out parade of the Associate National Cadet Corps Officers of Pre-Commissioning Course for Junior Wing Cadets. This prestigious event marks the culmination of their hard work and rigorous training as the officers demonstrate their camaraderie and commitment to serve the nation through this ceremonial passing out parade, reflecting the pride and honor that define the National Cadet Corps. Helicopter operations for the Char Dham Yatra 2025 will resume after the monsoon break. Ministry of Civil Aviation said decision to resume services have been taken after rigorous scrutiny, a comprehensive inspection and audit of all helipads, helicopter operators, preparedness and support facilities has also been conducted by the DGCA team. The DGCA will be closely monitoring and maintaining constant vigil for the same. The vibrant Hindu festival of Durga Puja is around the corner. An artist from Assam has created the idol of Hindu goddess Durga from discarded items, emphasizing the importance of recycling and reducing pollution. The artist used waste materials to send a message about the utility of discarded items and their role in curbing pollution. This year's idol is made from expired paper, highlighting the creative reuse of waste. And still to come in DD India News Hour. Bank of Japan keeps interest rates unchanged, also announces offloading exchange trading funds. And the Asia Cup 2025 India gears up for another Pakistan clash with the prelude against Oman set for Friday. And the 5-day Uma Sanji festival starts at India's famous Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh. Welcome back. You're watching TT India News. I'm Lepakshi Kuran, and on to some business news now. The Bank of Japan left its benchmark interest rate unchanged amid increased uncertainty over the country's political future and the effects of U.S. trade tariffs on the economy. The BOJ stuck with its policy rate of 0.5% at the end of the two-day gathering in Tokyo on Friday. The central bank had last hiked rates in January this year. The BOJ also outlined plans to begin selling some of its massive holdings of stocks, exchange-traded funds and real estate investment trust after it flagged plans to halt their purchases in a historic move last year. Well, the announcement comes hours after government data showed inflation in the fourth largest economy slowed to 2.7% in August, partly because of government energy subsidies, with rice prices increasing to 68.8% year-on-year. And world equity markets reached a new peak on Thursday, powered by a continuing bull run on Wall Street, while the US dollar rose on expectations of stronger US economic data and a delay in Federal Reserve rate cuts. Benchmark S&P 500, the Dow and the Nasdaq all posted record closing highs. Intel jumped more than 22% after Nvidia said it would invest $5 billion in the struggling US chip maker. While in the UK, the pound value dipped slightly after the Bank of England kept rates unchanged. European stocks climbed 0.8%, adding to the global rally as oil prices slipped. Brent crude futures easing 0.8% to settle at $67.44 a barrel. Well, Microsoft plans to build a second massive artificial intelligence data center in Wisconsin, US, bringing its spending in the state to over $7 billion. Now, the new project will join a $3.3 billion data center in Mount Pleasant in the southeastern corner of the state. The initial data center remains on track to open next year and will employ about 500 people at its peak, expanding to about 800 once the second data center is complete. You're watching TT India News. Our time now for some sports news. Wrestler Antim Panghal clinched historic bronze medal at the World Wrestling Championships in Zagreb in the 53 kg women freestyle category on Thursday after defeating Sweden's Olympian Emma-Jonna Malmgren 9-1 in a tough bronze medal match. With this bronze, Antim became the second Indian woman after Vinesh Phogat to win 2 world bronze medals. Antim also won bronze in the 2023 edition of the World Championships at Belgrade and had beaten the very same opponent 16-6 via technical superiority. Her Thursday's bronze also opened India's account at the event. And Anu Rani and Gulveer Singh will be in action on the 7th day of the World Athletic Championship in Tokyo. The 33-year-old Anu, competing in her 5th World Championships, will have to either achieve the 62.50 mark or finish inside top 12 in the qualification round of women's javelin throw. Asian Games champion Anu has a personal best of 63.82 meter, which is also the national record. Her season's best is 62.59 meters. Well, Gulveer, who finished 16th in the men's 10,000 meter final, will take part in the 5,000 meter heats. And the draft for the inaugural session and season of the Archery Premier League was held in Delhi on Thursday. The league will take place from October 2nd to 12th at the Yamuna Sports Complex in New Delhi. On the sidelines of this event, TT India correspondent Narayan Singh spoke to archer Rishabh Yadav, who called it a big opportunity for Indian archers to compete with the best in the world. Let's listen in.
It's a historic day for the Indian archery, as today the first edition of the Archery Premier League has been, we can say that the foundation has taken place, and today right now I'm joining me Rishabh Yadav. Rishabh, a very warm welcome and congratulations. The first edition will start on the 2nd October, an important day and also a historic day, and a historic day today also because the drafting of the players, the teams has been today announced. So how you look this thing that the first season of the Archery Premier League going to be important for the Indian archers?
Well, thank you first of all. I'm very positive towards the league because leagues has played a crucial role in changing Indian sports, shaping how they perform. As we have seen in the other sports, the league, when the player gets and the foreigner also like gets in the same team, so you learn more from them. And now we have Olympic champion with us playing in this league, as well as multi-time Olympic medalist archers coming with the team.
Talking about the achievements of the Indian archery, Indian archers have won every medal on the, we can say that they can win, but one medal that is missing, that is the Olympic medal. Do you think such leagues like the Archery Premier League going to help the Indian archer to get that important and the coveted medal?
Yes, I believe in the last few years we have did better in the Olympics. This year we were fourth, and just like many other Indian sports, like I would say it's a positive sign because we are one step closer to the podium. And with this league as well as the new sports bill from the government of India, they have a lot of more things to add in Indian sports. And I believe the vision our Prime Minister has to uplift sport has been good, because since Khelo India was inaugurated, I think even archers have also doing a great job.
Sure. One last question. We know that's a different format and it will be played under the lights. And also the rules have been tweaked for it. So do you think it's going to help the athletes, the archers? It will help, or definitely you have to adapt it according to the rules? How you look the, we can say that the result of this thing?
So the rules have been changed in a way that, to make it more interesting for the television, as well as to add more pressure to archers, because like they reduce the number of time an archer gets to shoot an arrow. So it's something, you have to step out of your comfort zone and then shoot. And with the experience of like all of us, all the top Indian archers as well as the world archers, we are excited to see how the coaches manages to make the tactics and how it goes forward.
It will give exposure to the Indian archers. They will vie with the best in the business, the world's top archers, the Olympians, and definitely we can say the historic day for the Indian archery. With camera person Aniket, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
And India is to take on Oman in the last group stage match of the Asia Cup in Abu Dhabi on Friday, with Super 4 qualification already in the bag. This game is about giving opportunities to those who haven't had much time on the field and experimenting with the batting order. Some key players like Jasprit Bumrah are likely to be rested ahead of Sunday's big match with Pakistan. Oman face India for the first time, and it's a daunting task. Their two games so far yielded scores of 67 and 130, with no batter crossing 30. Against India's formidable attack, they are up against a mountain to climb, but it will be a historic moment for them to play with the world champions. Well, on the eve of the final group clash against Oman, Team India hit the nets in Dubai, looking to fine-tune their plans and give game time to those waiting in the wings before the Super 4 stage. Abhishek Mahajan reports for more from there.
All right, so India will play their last league game against Oman on Friday, and Kuldeep Yadav had come for the pre-match press conference, and he said that we are not taking any team lightly. There is no complacency in the team, and you can see behind me, Team India is sweating it out. This is an optional training session, and the likes of Hardik Pandya, Sanju Samson, Shubman Gill, Abhishek Sharma, they are not part of the practice session today. Is this an indication that Team India might make a few changes in the playing 11? Bumrah is also not there at the practice session, and we saw Rinku Singh also sweating it out with the fielding coach T. Dilip. Is this an indication that Rinku Singh will be part of the playing 11 against Oman? It looks like that Arshdeep Singh will play instead of Jasprit Bumrah. Jasprit Bumrah might be rested in the game against Oman, and big game against Pakistan. India will play against on 21st September against Pakistan. That will be the first game India will play in the Super 4 stage. But yes, a big opportunity for Oman also. They'll be playing their first international game against India. It's a big chance for them to measure the progress also. With cameraman Kumar Datta, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Dubai for DD India.
And the 5-day Uma Sanji festival has started at India's famous Mahakaleshwar temple in Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh from Wednesday. During the festival, tableaus depicting various faces of Lord Mahakal will be displayed. The festival is based on folk culture where folk singing, instruments and dances are performed daily after the evening prayers. At the conclusion of the festival, a procession of goddess Uma is held. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Nipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.